I don't know why they didn't ask us to be in that video.
I was prepared. I've been working on this
I
video
was
all
prepared
summer.
as well.
I saw that video for the first time. I'm sitting here dying. They're counting down 1, 2, 3. I'm just laughing.
Oh my god. What's up, guys? This is the Esports Weekly. Adanas joined by Fdot and Hinduman, where we're going to bring you our predictions for the week, maybe help you win some FP. I think Hindu
You
has
all
labeled
know,
this.
This is free FP week,
Yeah.
boys and girls.
Yeah.
Free FP.
Well, we might help you win some FP. I don't know about Kevin.
My predictions are okay.
We
for
had
the
a
most
quick
part.
discussion beforehand, and I'm pretty sure somebody in the middle here has some interesting predictions.
He definitely has some odd predictions.
Yeah.
Reminder, guys, alphadraft.com. It's your chance to win money playing fantasy, and you know we're going to actually be talking about some of the top players that we've seen from these past weeks. So maybe look to find some insight on which players you should draft for your teams. Let's talk about the North American standings, though.
Sure.
After 2 weeks of play, sitting at the top, undefeated, is actually AFK at 6-0. Enemy, though, they're the surprise, sitting in second. We could see a little bit of switch up, though.
Maybe they could hold on to it, though. I mean, Enemy not in a bad spot right now. They've done well to get where they are so far, but it wasn't against premier opposition, as we'd like to say in North America.
Yep. Elevate, though, still scraping for their first win, and they have a very rough week with AFK at TSM coming up. Let's talk about Europe, though, and see who sits at top. I believe it's Titan, but Epsilon's right behind them, undefeated at 4-0.
Yeah, with these two teams as well, the big factor for me is Dignitas right at the bottom, 1-5 right now. They've not had the hardest of weeks so far. This one's going to be a bit rough, though.
It should be a little bit rough. Dignitas, I mean, in the past, they've been inconsistent. They've been this, they've been that. This split, they're not good. They need help. It's just not a good look for them right now.
That's going to be it for the standings, though. So a quick reminder, though, to all you guys out there who may be just joining us for the SPL or don't remember from last split, we have expanded into 4 days of play. And we're going to take a look at that schedule. We're going to bring games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know, like you said, kind of free FP week. Not too many big games, though.
No real big games, at least for the first 3 days. The last day I can see one game that I'm very interested in, but the others, I don't really see, them going close.
I think there's a lot of very straightforward picks right here. You could be a little sort of aggressive and go for a split or two, but I think in general the situation is right on front.
Let's get right into it, though. On Thursday, it's going to be Paradigm taking on Justice. Justice, formerly Upcoming Stars. Paradigm, though, looking very strong. Zaylia in that solo lane had a big impact last week.
Big impact last week, played Isis in the solo lane, something we've not seen for a long time.
And a long time.
Ever.
Like, that's what you see in ranked,
yeah,
right?
I mean, it's been a long time we've seen that, but at the same time, he also had a big game in terms of getting himself 2 solo kills in that lane, which is something we don't see very often in the Pro League. Up against Zashu, had a good performance, and Zaylia, maybe he's finding his stride again.
Zaylia has it's up and down for me, honestly. Zaylia is a very talented player that has become rather inconsistent. So I like what I saw last week. I want to see more of that, but I need to see it this week right away in order to really, say that he's on his upswing again. Zaylia always been very, very talented, but Paradigm in general as a unit, this is a good team.
Yeah, this is a real good team, and I did actually end up giving Paradigm 2-0. Justice, they found their first win, but it was really against the other bottom seed in Europe. Justice, I need to see more from them moving forward on improvements. Maybe they'll have some strong matchups against Paradigm, but Paradigm, they're looking like the favorites.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. Justice is a good team in their own right. Very, very strong. Not saying they're not, but Paradigm is just a little bit on that upper level, and the experience factor is also weighing heavily for me. 2-0 Paradigm.
Paradigm, 2-0, not a surprise. It's just the way it's going to be.
Next up, though, for Thursday, it's going to be the North American match, and it's really going to be the story of Elevate still looking for their first win. This is a team that, even Hindu said in week 1, like, they're not going to be bottom 2, but they weren't able to scrape out a win in the first 2 weeks, and now they're facing Team Solo Mid heading into week 3.
Yeah, you said they're looking for their first win. Keep looking.
Yeah, 2-0 TSM for me.
It's not going to come out of Team Solo Mid. Again, it's a story of Justice and Paradigm to the next level. I think that Paradigm is great. I think that TSM is better than great, and Elevate, while being a good squad, I mean, Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, and TSM as well. They've come up the back of some hard opposition the past couple of weeks as well and still come out on top in my eyes. Defeated Eager, managed to scrape a split with Denial, even though they had a rocky one of those games. And against Elevate, I don't see Elevate being able to put them in the same sort of position those two teams did.
Okay. Moving on to Friday matches, though, of course, we start with Europe, and it's going to be the top of the board. It's going to be Epsilon taking on Dignitas, and adapting last week was against Fnatic. I mean, that was honestly one of the most dominating performances we've seen, and it was against Fnatic.
But it's not just last week, it's just adapted in general. The guy is a beast in the jungle right now. People are starting to realize how strong he really is.
Adapting is, I mean, I'm not saying it, but I hang out in Twitch chats more so than I talk. A lot of times I'm working and I'm just lurking.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
right. Tom.
Well, when I'm working, I can't talk, all right? Maybe I put Fdot cheese in there, but a lot of people are putting this guy in the conversation for best player in the world. Is he there? I'm not saying it just yet, but damn if he's not campaigning well.
I mean, to be fair as well, when you actually look at what's happened with adapting, he's been trying time and time again to be able to get himself a decent viewership. More and more people now tune into him, realizing he's a real deal.
I'm watching.
I gave this one to Epsilon. Adapting probably going to lead the way as well.
2-0 Epsilon across the board for both me and Hindu.
Yep.
The reason I went Epsilon over Dignitas is, I mean, I just think Epsilon is a strong team, and I unfortunately don't think the same of Dignitas this split.
Up next, though, it's going to be Denial versus Enemy Esports, and Enemy sitting at the top. A little bit surprising. It's only week 2, though. They still have a long way to go. But Wiggles Debate really impressed me this past week.
Wiggles has been very, very good, not just last week, but weeks prior, and he looked very, very strong. We're going to ride along with him right over here, playing a different pick right here, the Hun Bats. And here for me, he won MVP on the losing squad. That speaks volumes.
That's so difficult to do. I mean, let's be honest, over the whole of the SPL, how often do we ever see an MVP on a losing team?
They did beat out, right? They lost against AFK, but they did win against Elevate last week because they had the doubleheader.
But it's such a difficult
They still lost, right?
Yeah, they still lost, but they still got MVP that week. Not a bad performance from the lad. He's going to have to look for big things this week, though, to be able to take on Denial.
Yeah, Enemies, it's going to be a rough look for them. I actually gave this one 2-0 Denial. And, you know, one thing here also is that Denial, they've always been that middle-of-the-road team for North America, always about even, always in contention. Yeah, this was his quadra. That was phenomenal.
I'm sorry, I was just so into that
It's
play.
fine. Denial has been that middle-of-the-road team in North America, always in contention for LAN for the final week, but they started off 1-3. I'm giving them the 2-0 against Enemy, but if they lose here, it's a real bad look.
I agree. I'm giving Denial the 2-0 above Enemy as well. And it's less about Denial for me and more about Enemy. Enemy has won, but they're still unproven in my eyes. I think Denial will be their first big test, as we always like to say.
Agree.
And I think Denial's gonna go take it.
Completely agree. It's all about the challenge more than anything else, and this is the biggest opposition they've probably faced so far this season in Denial. I expect Denial to do well. If Enemy come out on top here, we can start talking about making a top 4 run.
You giggled. It's possible.
Yeah, it is.
It's possible.
Completely.
You're right. It is possible.
Which is completely the opposite of what I had thought at the preseason. I was like, this is the 8th place team.
Yeah.
That's what I said. They are
too.
not looking like the
Me
8th
too.
place team.
And then they came out. They have had great performances, found themselves second already.
Moving over to Europe, though, Justice is going to be taking on Titan. And Titan, I mean, they're always so quiet. But they're always at the top. I gave this one a 2-0. Confrey, though, Confrey is fitting into this role phenomenally. He reminds me a lot of Allied.
Comfy, honestly, he sits there. He's been very patient in the role, learned the role through and through because he transitioned from solo. He's having a good time of things more than anything else. I don't think he's had to have too much pressure, though, because Titan's backbone is all to do with the trio of Kanye Life, Pretty Prime, and Repicast. He's allowed to just free farm, a lot like Allied, like you said, and then turn up late game, be more effective.
Yeah, it's working out real well for Confrey. Unlike his Tinder experiences, he tweeted out a hilarious screenshot. It was funny, but it's going all the right way on his squad. Here we're going to ride along with him as he shoots out those ROM ultimates, just looking like a longtime hunter. And it took a while to get here. We mentioned it last week. He was never really, I mean, they made the switch, and I questioned it for a while, but I think that everybody's comfortable now, both him and Ataraxia. The squad's a little bit stronger. And on the side of Justice, again, do I like the Justice squad? Yes, I really do. You're up against Titan. Titan's going to beat you.
It's one of those parts of this season, though, when we actually see Titan, they've had an easy run of show so far, you know?
Sure.
The first few competition, expected. Myrmidons last week didn't have a full roster. And Titan, for me, they're going to take the 2-0.
Yeah, I gave this one a 2-0 as well. I think just across the board right now, Titan looking a little bit too strong for a team like Justice to handle.
Too strong, too furious.
So moving on, though, it's going to be Paradigm versus Myrmidons. The big story here, though, is Gitfisher is out.
Gitfisher is out, replaced by Dark Dodo.
Dark Dodo with a
Dark
4
Dodo's
for the
the name.
A.
Now, the one thing about Dark Dodo in the jungle is if you actually research this guy at all, you know anything about him, he doesn't or hasn't played that much jungle. Mainly been a mid or a hunter player for the most part. Had some stuff in the Challenger Cup that I remember of him, but not really. He's another untested SPL. Well, he's now in SPL, so he's an untested rookie jungler once more.
I mean, to be fair, right?
Myrmidons.
You look at the Myrmidons, their team is all rookies.
Mm-hmm.
For the
rookie
most.
squad?
Well, I guess outside of
Sio.
Sio. Outside of Sio, though, everyone's pretty rookie-ish.
To be fair, I know Moga's never ever made it into the SPL, but I never see him as a rookie.
Well, when
Fair
it comes
point.
to the SPL stage, we're looking at a lot of rookies, but as far as the actual playing of the game, Smite, there's not a lot of players that are wet behind the ears on this squad. I like the Myrmidon squad. That's no secret.
I know you like the Myrmidon squad, and I know what you voted. Go on, tell us. Where did you go with this one? Because I cannot believe you went against Paradigm.
So Paradigm versus Myrmidons, I have this as a split. There's no way that Myrmidons are gonna win 2-0. Okay, there's just no way that they're gonna win 2-0. But there's a very large chance that they win the first game. All right, bear with me, okay? Gitfisher was, unfortunately, for everything that he did outside of the games, was largely a non-factor in these matches. Okay, so that really that's the unfortunate truth. You bring in a new player, either he's a non-factor or he's good, right? All you could do is go up from this point on. So you've got that going for them, right? And Paradigm is a team that, you know what? Moga, so they could sneak in a win. They might catch Paradigm off of their heels, get that win in the first game, and Paradigm
my question for you.
stop
Hold on.
game two.
Let me ask a question.
Okay, go on.
Where is their win coming from? Who is going to outperform Paradigm in the direct matchups?
As far as it comes to direct matchups, do I think Moga will beat Zelia in lane pound for pound? Probably not. Do I think that Moga can translate into the game later? Yes, I do.
You literally just said that Fisher was a non-factor, so basically it was a Myrmidons 4v5, and you still think that if there's a non-factor jungler, it's still a 4v5 and Paradigm will lose a game.
If we see Dark Dodo overperform and everything, I think that Paradigm could be
He
caught by
just said
surprise
that
and
Moga
win
will
number one.
outperform Zalia.
That's not what I said.
That's
but you can take it
exactly
and
what
run
you
with it.
said. You said maybe not in lane, but late game, it's going to be Moga outperforming Zalia. That is exactly what you
So
just said.
Just see look. Is
They
that what you're
twist
after?
my words. They make me into this all sorts of villain. I'm saying split down the middle. Myrmidons could take Paradigm by surprise, and then game two, Paradigm will come back to play. But
It's Paradigm for me and Hindu, no surprise. Moving over to North America, though. Elevate taking on AFK. We already talked about the rough look they were going to have. Right now, Elevate's... I'm sorry, this is just AFK 2-0.
yeah, I really do want to see Elevate win some. Not their week. AFK 2-0.
I tweeted about this early on. I didn't expect them to be bottom. I don't think they can be bottom, but maybe they will be. This week, though, is learning week for these boys, right? They're against the big boys of NA. Double header, lot to learn. It doesn't mean they should go into it expecting to lose. They should play to win, obviously. But they have the potential to pick up a lot from these games and learn where their issues are.
If I'm a player in the squad, I'm going and trying to win. If I'm the coach of this team, I'm telling my team you can win, and I'm telling myself they can't, and I'm writing down every mistake and learning from it, because that's what you do when you're going up against a squad that's just stronger.
Yeah, facing off against the big boys, I think just AFK, like you said, it's a learning experience.
Yep.
Moving forward, though, we will do. It's going to be TSM versus COG.
Oh, yes.
I gave this one a 2-0 TSM, unsurprisingly, but there might be a slight upset watch for me on this.
I mean, it's best, isn't it? That's the one thing that we're going to look at from Cognitive. The best for himself, is great mid laner, always very decent positioning for the most part, always gets himself to the late game. Quality positioning, can he perform?
Cognitive, for me, is like last split's Eager. Eager was not the strongest team in the world, and, you know, they had their problems where they were in the summer split, but I would never count them out because you've got Lasses, you've got Zapman, you've got Dare to Care. You can't really count them out. Cognitive is the same way for me. DJ Pernicus, Best, etc. You just can't count this team out. So for as strong as Team Solo Mid is, I think this can be a split. I think that COG can steal a win.
What?
I think Cog can steal a win. I will never count Cognitive completely out.
But you picked TSM 2-0?
No, I didn't.
He picked split, I believe.
Okay,
spoke-
to be fair,
I
you've
spoke
been
to-
talking about the
yeah,
split
we
all
spoke
day.
about
So
it all day.
I'm going to blame Ray again.
I don't see
I'm
it.
going to blame Ray for this
Here's
one.
the issue, right? Cog,
Blame Adanas.
But-
I'm not even in production!
but big key, Cognitive did not beat Enemy. Enemy beat Cognitive.
Sure.
And you're expecting Cog to be able to beat TSM.
Team Solo Mid has been, I mean, they're very, very strong.
No,
right?
no. Let me break this down for you real quick. All right, Team Solo Mid.
Yeah.
Okay. SPL Kickoff Land, first place.
Okay.
SPL Season 1, first place. North American Regionals, first place. SWC, third place. Spring Split, second place. Spring Finals, second place. Summer Split, third place. Summer Finals, first place. Team Solo Mid is not good. They are one of the best, and historically one of the best, North American teams for the past year. And Cog, wait, there's Cog though. Let's take a look. Meerkat, he's been on this roster.
He played for Fat Chunks.
He played for he's been places. DJ Pernicus was an analyst 2.5 years ago at launch tournament.
That's fair. You're totally
The best did win some stuff. Best won a lot
I
of
mean,
stuff.
put it this way. Put it this way. I put down the split because I will never count out this roster of Cognitive, and I like to be prepared for the unpredictable.
I know you've been away for the past weekend, right? But on that flight back to the state to New York, I was just to the States, but to New York, was it just like hero films of like, yes, we can do it, the underdog story?
I watched a
the
lot
whole
of
time?
Rudy. Okay,
Yeah,
I watched a
Rudy
lot
the
of
whole
Rudy.
Not the Rudy
Kevin,
story.
All right, so Rudy is a great film.
Moving forward, so TSM, and then split just to confirm
Yeah.
for some reason.
Just don't listen to Fdot this week.
Moving on to Sunday, Dignitas taking on Fnatic.
Oof.
This one for me is Fnatic 2-0ing.
Fnatic. They had some problems last week. I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
They're going to be bloodthirsty.
They're going to be bloodthirsty. They didn't perform as well as they would have liked to against Epsilon. Dignitas, though, last week as well, they had a substitute in. Back to a full roster. I still don't think they can take a game of Fnatic right now. Fnatic for me with the 2-0. Pretty
Okay.
simple. Short and sweet.
Pretty simple here. Moving forward, it's going to be Epsilon taking on London Conspiracy. And, normally we highlight some of the best players. This time I'm looking at Zashu, who really struggled last week.
Right, Zashu struggled last week in this, obviously, solo lane up against Zalia. But something happened last week that we don't see often in the Pro League. I mentioned it during Zalia's little talk earlier on. You don't see solo 1v1 kills at this level of play.
Sure.
Because the players back out of the engagement. You don't get yourselves caught. And if you do, if you're behind in lane, you back out, you recall, or you wait for reinforcements. Zashu got solo twice in 2 different stages of the game, which is something you're not used to.
And now he's
seeing.
up against Demi.
Now he's up against Diggy.
Another high level.
Another high level. This is Zashu's week to prove that last week was just a misplay. It was a mistake for the most part, but he struggled.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is a lot about Epsilon. It's a lot about the mindset of London Conspiracy. What happened last week about LC and Paradigm, I mean, that LC came out and said, and I mean, for what it's worth, I have no problem with it. I think it's fine. You play to win. But I think that the fan reaction and how this happened and how the public perception of this team might get under their skin a little bit. I think that Epsilon could beat London Conspiracy flat out 2-0.
I mean,
but how badly they beat them is going to be all about LC's mindset.
There's play to win, and then sometimes it's going too far above and beyond in some aspects. I could understand Paradigm's point of view in it completely in what happened last week. I can see where Conspiracy was coming from too. I'm not going to take sides or anything like that, but
Sure.
I just
There's positives and
was
negatives
so-so.
on both sides. For me though, Epsilon remains undefeated. They come out of this 2-0.
I don't see it going any
Yeah,
other way either.
straight up.
I'm surprised you didn't go split after that.
Hey man, who knows? Maybe Zashu just solos the whole team.
All right.
Wow.
Maybe Soggy Sando outplays adapting.
Okay, Adonis the meme, calm down.
That's a nice try, but you're the meme. We already saw.
said it in
I'm
Twitch
lawful
chat.
neutral.
You said
There's
it in Twitch
chaotic
chat.
neutral, and you're the meme.
Banter.
Kelly already tweeted that out.
Banter.
Nice try, meme.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, though, into the North American games on Sunday, it's going to be Enemy taking on Cloud9, better known as How Hard Will Annenster Camp the Solo Lane?
Very well said. I mean, enemy coming in and out of it. You're taking a look right here at Andy and how he's going to pay attention to that solo lane, because that's generally what he has to do to pay attention to the rookie. You've got Baskin Robbins, etc. So he's got to sort of do that. I think we're going to see the same thing.
But at the same time, this time round, if this is going to be the game plan for Cloud9 the whole season through, Salt Machine should be back at the solo lane after being subbed out last week.
Penny was subbed last week, but it was simply Salt Machine could not make it.
But then if Salt Machine's back, I've seen him in the Challenger Cup. He plays very tanky, sustained warriors for the most part. Tears, the Hercules, very strong on those.
I love Tear.
If he plays safe under the tower or doesn't worry about being camped, expects the camp, he can deal with it.
I mean, Anister made a huge impact last week against Denial. He just completely shut down Walrus. And this is... Anister has been that player who's always been one of the best junglers in North America, but we've seen him falter at times. He's looking back like one of the best junglers in North America.
Exactly. I mean, he's sort of had to do different things in this role, and here with the hyper carry in that lane, it's exciting. I sort of feel like I'm seeing old Andy back, and I just want to see it again.
For me, though, this is a 2-0 Cloud9. However, Enemy does face off against Denial earlier in the week. If Enemy can make a big impact against them, maybe I reevaluate this game. But for me, Enemy, while they're at the top, Cloud9's just better.
Cloud9 2-0. Yes. Cloud9. Enemy has no shot.
I gotta agree with Fdot on this one. And I really hate admitting that more than
You're gonna look at me funny when I pick my split. Enemy might have a shot if they beat Denial.
No, but enemy, even if they beat Denial, no, I still think Cloud9 got this one.
Did you see the graphic? Ray messed up. They were blaming us. We didn't. You think we didn't catch that, Ray? I saw that Myrmidon's logo. This is North America. This is North America, Ray. Raymond Pecky's Pecky.
Well, North America, you've got Canada in North America, and then there's French Canada in North America.
Moving on, we've got, what's next?
Denial versus Eager. And this, okay. This is actually a very hype game. This is likely to be the closest set. Looking at it on paper, could go either way. I'm looking at this Zapman versus Bronx Bombers, who we haven't really been talking about too much.
Yeah, Bronx Bombers, I feel like we talked a lot about Bronx Bombers earlier in the year, both in the spring and the summer, when he was doing different things on different teams, and he made a huge name for himself. And Bronx Bombers, what always impresses me about him is his sort of attitude in lane. Brandon and I specifically really like to talk about the aura of players, notably Omega and Zapman. Zapman has this idea, yes, I'm the Zapman. You're not going to jump in on me at level 2, level 3.
I'm going to jump in on you.
I'm Zapman. And you see sort of this respect out of a lot of the opposing hunters, especially newer ones. Bronx doesn't do that. Bronx will go in. Bronx will play it smart. Bronx will do what he wants. He's not really affected by that. I like that. It's exciting. I'm going to look at this long lane the entire match. Denial and Eager, very close. This is my game to watch.
Completely agree. This is going to be the closest game. I actually feel whichever one edges, if one of these teams do 2-0 this, I'm putting them as my 4th seed in North America in terms of like making it to that. I really think they can do that already on, and this is a big game for both of them. Eager, off the back of a fantastic performance against TSM that, to be honest, could have gone either way. Could have been a split, could have gone 2-0 to Eager, let's be honest. Yeah. We saw the games. I'm casting them. I was lucky enough too. But at the same time, Denial, they're not a slouch either. They have defeated TSM. They're both branching for this 4th position, and this could be the one to watch this week.
These games are very important for both teams, but I put a lot more pressure on a Denial here, especially since this is a doubleheader week for them. If they can't find wins against enemy earlier on in the week, or if they can only win one game, if they also can't show up here, it's just bad for them. They could very realistically be 1-7 at the end of this week, and I wouldn't be too crazily surprised. I did give this game a split, though, although I could see 2-0 for either side, not because that team's better, but because these games are going to be 30, 40 minutes plus and that close.
I think these games are going to be very close, as we said before, but I do give the advantage over to Eager. I think that as a whole, the roster is very strong. Don't forget, I mean, world champion Omega is now on the roster. That's going to put them up another level. And I just think long-term, long story, Eager wins this out. If Denial pulls the split push Loki or catches Eager by surprise, maybe, but this is Eager's set to give to Denial should they lose.
I would have gone with you exactly the same with Eager. The only reason I've gone split is because Denial did take a game of TSM, and
That's
Eager
fair.
didn't. Even though Eagers was very close, Denial stomped TSM.
Oh, that was
No one
one
can
of
do
the
that.
was one of the
That
most
was-
one-sided games we've seen outside of Epsilon
against
versus
TSM.
Fnatic this week.
If Denial pull out a
this.
performance again, there's no way I can see Eager taking both games.
Sure.
So I went for the split, the neutral option more than anything else. Like I said, though, whoever takes this one for me, if they 2-0, I predict them will be top 4.
Okay. That's going to close out for the predictions, though, for Week 2. We're going to take a look at the Alpha Draft top performers and really see the top players we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. We did see some big performances. I don't remember, was it out of Adapting who had like 60-something points?
Yes.
That was crazy. He had like a 64-point game and a 60-point game. It's no surprise to see him sitting at the top, 44 points. Cyclone right behind him at 42. Kiki, another AFK member. Wiggles. Look at that. That's why he got MVP. He's on the losing team and he's still up there.
He's invisible, is that why?
That's actually, I am really mad at you, Wiggles. Dan, I need some fines.
With his name is...
I need some big fines coming out for Wiggles. How hard is it to take a picture?
Is his name Wiggles because he can't sit still to take a photo? He's always moving.
Oh, God, get us out. Just take us away. I can't deal with Hinduman's jokes.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for the Esports Weekly. We're going to take a break here. I believe it's going to be Mesmerize taking over for us. Stick around.